Assalamu alaikum and good morning everyone. Today I will be presenting about the gender dynamics of corruption cases in Malaysia with a special focus on MACC data from 2010 to 2022. My name is Muhammad Hilmi bin Noozamri and this presentation is part of our MPU 3442 course under Dr. Hasrul bin Hashom. Let's start by understanding corruption. Corruption is abuse of power for personal gain. But why does gender matter in corruption? Studies show that men and women engage in corruption differently due to social roles and pressures. In this presentation, we will focus on real data from Malaysia's Anti-Corruption Commission, the MACC, covering 2010 to 2022. Okay, we will go to the background. Historically, corruption has been seen as a male-dominated crime. That's because men have held most leadership and decision-making positions, but recently, there's been a noticeable rise in cases involving women. This shift makes us question how gendered vulnerabilities and social roles are shaping corruption patterns. Next, let's see its gender trends in MACC prosecution. Looking at the data, in 2010, only 5% of those prosecuted for corruption were women. By 2022, that number tripled to 15%. Meanwhile, male prosecutions dropped from 95% to 85%. This shows a clear trend. More women are being implicated in corruption as they gain access to positions of power. Now we will go to type of offense by gender. Okay, now let's compare the types of offense. Among men, the most common crimes are embezzlement at 40% and procurement fraud at 35%. Political bribery comes next at 15% and nepotism at 10%. These are typically large-scale financial crimes.
For
And then
women,
we go to the women. The offense differ. Bribery makes up 40%, nepotism is 30%, abuse of power is 20%, and cover-up are 10%. Women cases tend to involve relational favoritism and administrative misconduct, reflecting the different pleasures they face. I'm sorry, reflecting their different pressures they face. And now we'll go to high-profile case examples. Some high-profile cases show this gender pattern. A female minister was charged with a massive procurement fraud. In another case, a female manager at a state-owned enterprise was caught in a bribery scheme. These cases show that as the women rise to higher positions, they also face gender pressures that make them vulnerable to corruption. And unfortunately, the media scrutiny tends to be more harsher on female accused. Okay, now we'll move on to the next one, which is gender factors driving corruption. So, what drives corruption among women? Several gender-specific factors are at play. Social and economic stress, like family obligation, can push women into risky situations. Discrimination and limited career mobility in male-dominated workplaces also increase vulnerability. Cultural expectations about women's roles and harassment in the office further add to the pressure. And then we will see effects of corruption on women. When women are involved in corruption, the impact is often harsher. Their career suffers and they lose future opportunities. Legal punishment may be harsher due to gender bias. On top of that, they face social stigma and emotional stress. The media also tends to portray women more negatively in corruption scandals, amplifying the damage. Last but not least, policy recommendation. To address this, we propose several policy recommendations. First, implement gender-sensitive anti-corruption training programs. Second, promote more women into leadership roles to balance power dynamics. Third, create safe and anonymous reporting channels so women can report corruption without fear. Finally, address gender bias in law enforcement and media coverage. Before we end the presentation, let's look at the conclusion that can be made from this presentation. So, in conclusion, corruption affects men and women differently. That's why inclusive and gender-aware reforms are urgently needed. By ensuring equal opportunities, transparency, and justice, we can move toward a corruption-free and gender-equal Malaysia. Thank you. That's all from my presentation.